This video is about cold calling, and I want to show how it can be a really effective method in your arsenal when you're conducting sales calls. So a lot of people frown upon cold calling and think that it just doesn't work anymore, but I can be testament to the fact that 100% cold calling is a very effective way, especially in the B2B world. I've used cold calling in my business for the last 3 years, and before that in sales roles before. Why people think that cold calling is not a good method generally comes back to the fact that they haven't been any good at it. They've tried it once, they made 3 or 4 calls and it didn't work. That's really why you need to understand that when you're cold calling, it's about volume. You're not always going to find that person straight away that's going to be the one that is looking for your services. So when cold calling, you really need to sit down, make out about 60 or 70 calls in a day, and do that repeatedly for a couple of days, working on not so much a spiel, but working on the way that you're going to attack those customers. When I make a call to a customer, I try to keep it very conversational. So I don't like to go into a spiel, and that's probably why some people think that cold calling doesn't work, because they have a phone script and they said it 10 times and it didn't work. Well, guess what? Phone scripts, even when I get a call from a telemarketer that's calling off a phone script, I just I cringe and I listen through it because I can't even get a word in there, and it's just really bad. It makes me feel like, oh, I can't believe people are doing that, and that's why cold calling has such a bad name. But the way I like to cold call is to be very conversational, non-confrontational, and I just simply say, it's Blake from da-da-da, and I'm here to see if I can help you with this. And from there, I'd like to ask you a couple of questions. And it can be as simple as that. That's my opening line. Wouldn't even take 10 seconds. And the customer is usually saying, well, he just wants to ask me a couple of questions. Let's see where he wants to go with this. And you'll at least get a few questions in. And those probing questions are going to be what you're looking for to see if there is a need for that customer. You've got to remember, not every customer can you work with, and you don't want to work with every customer. All you're trying to do is you want to find that one customer that's going to work out well for you. That one customer in that call, obviously. You don't only want one customer, but you want to find that one person that's perfect, and then book an appointment with them, and then try and find more of those customers. So a lot of people think, oh, I've got to get a customer on board straight away. Everyone should buy my stuff because it's the best product in the world. There's a number of reasons why they may not be buying at that time. For instance, they may not be interested right at this moment. They may have bought recently. They may be in a contract. There's a lot of reasons out there why someone may not be interested right at this time. So what you want to do on a cold call is you want to establish when the next point of contact is needed. So you want to find out when it might be the right time to call them. And that way you can schedule in a call and call back when they're in a position, and it's more likely that you'll book an appointment, and it's more of a warm call. So the other thing I really think you need to do, or know you need to do, is you need to have a CRM, so a customer relationship manager. If you don't have one of them, you're kidding yourself. You can't make calls and just use like a spreadsheet or write it down in a diary, or worse still, not even write down your communications with customers. You need to have a schedule, you need to have a plan, and you need to input information into your CRM based on the customers that you've input, so that you can continually monitor them. You really want to put in as much information as you can, because your CRM is almost like a little backup memory drive that is going to trigger your memory to where you left off with that customer last time, so that you can pick back up in that same spot. Now, there are a lot of CRMs out there for free on the internet, so you don't even have to pay money. Zoho is a great one. That's one that I've used in the past, and it'll allow you to have, a limited version of it, but it'll allow you to have a one-user version that you can input some contacts and start making those calls. And you want to just monitor them from there, and you want to set scheduling next call and things like that, because it has a perfect system within that CRM to set up next stages in calls, and you can put leads in, and you can put contacts in, and you can put email addresses in. So you're really building up a database, and that's going to be very important, because you don't want to waste a cold call You don't want to make this call and then at the end of the day get no information and be no further forward than you were before you made that call. You want to make that call, and then you want to take as much information as you can, and you want to build a bit of a picture around the business that you're calling so that you can then work on other ways to get in and penetrate that customer. Just remember, there's not only one way into a business. Sometimes there might be multiple stakeholders. People might leave the business. So you really want to start to build up as much information as you can on those customers. You also want to make a call sometimes whether they're worth pursuing or not, because you could be making hundreds of calls to this customer and they're just never going to buy. You need to make a conscious decision that, you know what, this customer's not going to be the right one for me, and I'm going to move on and I'm going to start trying to find other customers. So don't get bent up on, I have to get this cold call, or I have to get this customer that I've called in the past for a meeting. Sometimes it might just not be the right customer for you. So just watch that one. The other thing is you need to be very resilient. So when you're making cold calls, it's not a personal attack if someone says, oh, I don't want a meeting with you, or I really don't like you, or whatever they're saying. It's not normally I don't like you, but I don't want to know what you're saying at the moment. They could be busy, they could be having a bad day. It's never a personal attack on you. So you really just need to take on the feedback, understand what the customer's trying to say, and use that to move forward with other customers. But just move on really quickly. If you've got some bad feedback or a customer's being a bit not nice at that point in time, then don't take it personally. Just move on, be resilient, because that's the number one name in cold calling. So what the goal is though is you want to make all these cold calls so then eventually get some warm calls. If you can't book at a meeting on that first call, you want to be setting yourself up to have warm calls later on so that you can book in these calls. So really want to just recap there. It's very important that you just make the calls. 1-2 calls is not going to get you a meeting. It may, but it's most likely a fluke. It's going to take a number of calls before you find the right prospect. The other thing too is make sure you're very conversational, you're very non-confronting, and you're just asking the questions that may lead them down a path to needing your product. And then make sure you put it in a CRM. So that's where I'm going to leave off there, is on make sure you're putting all your information in a CRM. If you're not, you're kidding yourself. You're wasting time. So many people I see come to me and they haven't been recording their information in a CRM. It is just, it's horrendous. It's a waste of time. You need to have a CRM with all that information locked in there so that you can use that moving forward in your selling. So I'll leave you with that and hope you have a good day.